Hello, Mehrnush. Welcome to the Retail Whore Podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I have to tell you, I have no idea how your business came across my thread. I think it was the designer that created your store, Soberish. And the more I dug and looked into it, I was like, this is the most brilliant idea for a business. And I reached out to you, and I know I'm this random person, and thank you for coming on because I am so excited to have this conversation.
Thank you. I was excited that you found me, and I also didn't know how you found me, but yes, I think Elisa Casado is how you found me, and she's amazing. We'll talk about her.
Oh my God, her designs! Like I went down the rabbit hole, and like I was looking at her jewelry, and like, oh my God, like it, and I fell in love with the whole thing. So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and a little bit on the brand, and then we'll dig more into it later.
Well, my name is Mehrnush Saadat. I am of Persian background. I've been in Atlanta pretty much my whole life. My early career, first job out was in retail, like so many of us. Since that time, I have worked in so many different industries, but I think retail as a whole, and my early background in retail was cosmetic sales. So that has definitely played a big role, and I will talk about that when I talk about the business, in how this came to evolution and where it's at. But retail for many years, and then I evolved into being a realtor. I sold houses from 2005, and I'm still currently licensed. Later in life, then I decided I wanted to go to law school and get out of real estate, kind of in 2008 with the market crash. By 2011, I went to law school with no intention of being in real estate at all. And then came out of law school and immediately went back to being a closing attorney. So I didn't get very far. And through that, I opened a law firm of my own, which was great and really successful. And I really enjoyed it. And I just found my love for entrepreneurship in that moment. I had done other small businesses before, but then over time, I just wanted to create something new and different, and that kind of led into Soberish, which again, I mean, it's been a fun journey.
You just opened enough ago?
So 7 weeks.
7 weeks ago. I mean, it is. I seriously it is one of the most brilliant idea. I mean, the sober-ish part is because you sell CBD. Is it CBD and THC? Is THC legal in Atlanta? Okay.
THC is legal in Georgia. It has to be 0.3% THC, which means it's Delta 8, Delta 9. So we're not selling the kind of marijuana that you sell in California, Colorado, all those states. But there are versions of that pretty much in every state that are legal due to federal legislation. And the effects and the feelings and all of it are really the same as street THC or marijuana or whatever name we want to put to it. I like to use the word cannabis because cannabis is the all-encompassing term for the products we carry as well as marijuana. It does deviate a little bit in what we carry versus marijuana.
There's a slang out here for anyone who's sober in California who still eats gummies and still smokes weed is that it's California sober. So
I heard that a lot once I opened the business. I had never heard it before, and then I started to hear it a lot. They're like, "Oh, you mean California sober?" And I was like, "I get it, but it's not really what that means." And yeah, that's a fun term too.
But the brand's name Soberish. It's like, and to be honest, like, take me through from you're still a practicing attorney, which I don't know how you have time to do that, but I'll get into that later. Practicing attorney, and then you decided to open this brand new business. Tell me a little bit about how that thought process went and how the whole process went.
So I opened my law firm in 2016 here in Georgia. And again, that was my level of experience. I designed a really cool office at that time that was more industrial, that didn't feel like a law firm. I wanted to create something new and different in the industry. That coupled with the fact that I had been a realtor before helped the success of the business. I knew what agents needed. I knew what the industry was like. I knew how to speak the language of what an agent needed to get the job done. I know in California, you guys use title companies. It's the same thing. We use closing attorneys in Georgia. You go to a title company and the notary signs your documents. We use an attorney. It's a similar process, similar thing, called different things. And here it does have to be a licensed attorney. So I had that business for a long time. And with the market exploding the way it did in 2020, 2021, 2022, it just led to, as a solo practitioner, a lot of burnout, a lot of fatigue, and a lot of just overwhelm on my part. So after a period of time, it was hard also to hire staff. I think that's also a conversation in every industry right now, especially finding people overall is difficult, let alone finding the right people, of course. But all of that to say, like, I just got to a point where I was feeling overwhelmed. And so in April of 2022, with a lot of prior conversations, I merged my law firm with a larger law firm in Atlanta that does the same things. That was in the hopes of giving me more space, more an ability to step back, still bring in the same book of business I was bringing in. But what I found after 6 or 7 months was I needed a creative outlet. And I really do also enjoy being the boss. That is something that, I think once you step out and become an entrepreneur once, most people probably stay in that arena. And so it was only about 6 months, 8 months after the merger that I started thinking, okay, what do I want to do next? And I had a bunch of different business ideas, and I wasn't entirely sure what my next move was. In January, on New Year's Eve of 2023, or New Year's Day, I guess, we had friends over, and another couple and me and my partner, and she's been sober for over 20 years.
Wow.
And so she brought a bottle of Flora, which is a Delta 8 spirit in a bottle that looks like this. It's a really beautiful bottle. I give them a lot of credit in every press that I do. So they must be getting a lot of marketing buzz too, because the bottle is very, very beautiful. It's very feminine. Obviously, it has flowers on it. The taste is impeccable. And, she and I just had a conversation that night about her sobriety, but also about, she prefers and enjoys and has always in our company THC products. And I do also partake in THC products. And I just found the older I got, the less I wanted to drink. I just didn't really have a desire. And every time I went out, I was doing it because my girlfriends were ordering a cocktail. So I'd order a cocktail, or I had a hard day, but it really didn't make me feel better. I really didn't have less of a hard day, right? It took an edge off for a minute, but you sleep worse, you wake up feeling foggy sometimes. For me, it was 2 drinks and I just didn't feel good anymore, or by the next day. And everybody's body is different, of course. But so just thinking on that in that moment is when I started to really look into and research the sober curious movement that was happening. I'd been hearing about it. I'd been seeing lots of buzz about it, but I didn't entirely know what it meant. And I wasn't part of that community. But the second I started diving into it, I realized what an amazing community it was, how much that industry was growing, how many women feel exactly the way I feel, which is we don't want to drink, but we would like something to take the edge off sometimes. And sometimes people are not drinking for sobriety purposes. Sometimes people define their sobriety however they'd like, as we said, partaking in THC, but not in alcohol. And some people just want to take a break, whatever the spectrum is. And so that's how Soberish was born, because I do think that it's a scale for whatever makes sense for you and what you need to do with your own personal sobriety. So it's a niche. The other point for me was every time I had ever walked into a smoke shop, vape shop, whatever we want to call it, whether that was in California, in Colorado, or in Georgia, it's either it looks like a medical facility and nothing is touchable. Everything is taboo, off limits. You can kind of ask about it, but they want to get you in and out. You got to look at it on an iPad, pick your stuff, get out. Or you're going in Atlanta and they don't have the knowledge. They really don't understand. They're just yeah, it's going to make you feel high.
Wow.
That's not, right? I mean, that's a lot of what you get when you walk into some of these stores. And that can be said across the nation. I'm not saying every store is like that, but there was nothing that combined education and aesthetics, and also a component of the non-alcoholic drinks. I've seen a lot of non-alcoholic bottle shops in the industry nationally, but I hadn't seen a combo of the two things. And so I thought, you know what? I feel really good about this, and I think this is my next business venture. So I just, as I do, it's kind of how also my law firm came about, was called Blue Ink Title. I just decided I was going to do it. And on that one, it was 35 days from making the decision to finding the space, to leasing the space at the time, to just doing it. And this was kind of similar. I mean, within 3 months, I had, the website, and all of the things trickled down from there. So I like to just, I think if you feel good about something, just like go all in. I don't believe in baby stepping things. I guess I'm a big risk taker in that way.
I love that. I am too. I've always said, just jump. Like you figure it out. I mean, I honestly think, like, for me, I learn better hands-on, and it's like I have interns that come out of FITM and they're very book smart, which is great, but you throw them into an instance and it's like they're frozen, and it's because it's baby steps, and it's like, just jump, just do it. And if you fuck up, then you fuck up. It's like, it's not brain service. It's not a liver. It's like, it's okay. And I love that. If I feel good about it, I'm just going to do it. And instead of half in and half out, for the non-alcoholic spirits. So California, it's obviously legal, and there are 2 big players in it. MedMen is one, and it's like an Apple store. But there's one that's in Las Vegas, and I guess they're in Orange County, and it's called Planet 13. And it is like typical what you'd expect in Vegas. It is crazy over the top. But I will say this, that I hate this word, bud tenders.
That's cute, actually.
I'm doing air quotes because I don't know why, it just makes me cringe. I'm like, but they're really knowledgeable, and they will, because I go in saying, I don't want to get baked out of my head. I just want to sleep. Because I'm 57, and it's like, you get to a certain age and it's like, you can't fucking sleep anymore, like, at all. And I mean, taking alcohol out of it for sure helps, but you still, you fall asleep and you wake up in the middle of the night. So I'm like, I just want to sleep. I don't want to get baked out of my head. That's all I want. And they're really good about, there's no rush, because it's in California before it was like, you had to have a medical note. It was like that. Hurry up, get in. People kind of knew, it was like some kid who was also equally as baked trying to tell you, oh man, it's like, I've had really bad experiences with that. This one, they're really, it's nice to know they're really, but on the other side of the coin is, as sober curious as there are so many people and so many, like, there's so many super young people that are like TikTok famous, whatever, that are sober. And it's so cool to see their lifestyle and making it normal versus like everyone else that feels like you still have to keep up. But there are still no sober drink shops. Like, they have a section in a high-end grocery store that's like this big. It's the worst tasting wine you've ever had in your life. And then Del Soy, which I love.
Yeah.
Which I love. Those are the only 2 that I found that I love, because now I'm not drinking right now. And it's mostly so I can get through this move that we're dealing with and everything, and just have a clear head, because I knew it could go very wrong.
Well, and I think so much of our culture is unconsciously drinking, right? Well, you go out to dinner with friends and you might tell yourself at home, like, I'm not going to have a drink. And then you get there and everyone's doing it. So you also order a drink because you don't want to have a question about why you're not drinking. You figure out it's fine. But I think that is changing. But I mean, I'll say I went to an event the other night, and it was a women's networking event. It was awesome. I walked in the door and the great gentleman was pouring champagne, handed me a glass, and I took it without thought, even though I really didn't want it. And I think that's so much of where we are, although I do think the shift is happening. After I had that, I had about half of it, and then I realized, like, oh, I didn't really intend to drink tonight. Okay, whatever. Then the rest of the night I had water. But I think it's making those choices, if that's the choice you want to make, and being thoughtful in it, but also having an alternative. I don't necessarily always want to have water. I would love a great mocktail. I would love something that really has the flavor profiles of a cocktail with the depth, the bitterness, like a Negroni, something like that, to be fun and different than what I'm usually having at home, or if I'm not going to have an alcoholic drink that night. So I think the options have opened up a lot for a lot of people. And I'm excited to bring a part of that to people as well. And yes, there are definitely grocery store options too, but I think the stores that are doing things are doing a lot of better, more nuanced flavor profiles and elevated drinks.
I mean, I was looking at and the other thing that I love that, I really wish there was something more out here is that, because like you said, the depth and the bitterness of certain drinks, like that's why I love Gaia. It's like I do the lime salt one. I do a salt rimmer. And it's when you say, and for people who are listening, there's that bitterness. Like, you go somewhere and you'll say, oh, the mocktail, and it's super sweet. And you end up drinking it really fast, where these, like, it's not super sweet and there is that bitterness. So you drink it slowly like you would a cocktail. And, it's not like a Shirley Temple type sweet thing. You can drink the whole thing. But I really I love that you do tastings, because, just the fact that there's a whole entire store of all of these beautiful non-alcoholic wines and aperitifs, but to be able to taste it, because that's one thing. It's like, I will say, it's like, for those who are buying these drinks, it is not inexpensive. And sometimes just as expensive as a bottle of wine. It's like, and the ones I've gotten at Bevmo or whatever have been so bad where I'm like, I can't believe I just spent.
When you're going in, are you getting education on that? Are you asking questions? Are they helping guide you?
No, because the first time I did this, I was in Vegas, which no one apparently doesn't drink in Vegas. Like even Whole Foods didn't even have non-alcoholic options. Whole Foods.
Right.
So I went to Bevmo and I already knew there's the one brand that is doing non-alcoholic tequila, gin, something. And
there's a lot.
I forget the name, but it's actually the tequila, because it has that mesquite like smokiness to it. It has that same nose to it and has that same taste without that bite of tequila.
Yeah.
But there's no one there to even ask the question. So for me, I'm kind of blindly choosing whatever, and I'll never do another bottle of wine from any of those places because every single one of them has sucked. And there's a new one that and that's the one thing. It's like a lot of the places don't sell at retailers. You can only buy it online. And it's Curious. Is it Curious?
Right.
And it's
elixirs, yeah.
I wish they had them, but I look at your store and like all the options and the fact that you do tastings, and not to mention I love seeing how many people are in, like when you've been Instagramming, and it was during your opening and so, but it's amazing to see how many people are in there tasting.
We had a great turnout for our opening, which was really exciting to see that many people excited about it. And to an earlier point of yours too, about younger people not drinking, I'm finding a lot of our team members are 30 and under, and they don't drink, and they never really have. And I'm finding that age group is just not interested in it, which I find fascinating, right? That's not how I grew up, but I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they have no FOMO, right? I had so much FOMO if I didn't go, if I wasn't at the party, if I didn't have a drink, if I didn't whatever. I felt like I needed to do that to be part of things. And this new age group doesn't feel that way, and I'm excited for them, and I'm excited for what will come for them in the future and what they're going to change in all of us. Because again, I do think they're changing. I think we're all changing, but I think they're helping propel a change in how we view alcohol. I think also a lot of the conversations in the health community about alcohol and its detrimental effects have been a good push in that regard too. So that's been nice.
People listen. I really do. I've had a couple. One of our guests. We've had him on twice. First time, he's the head of Caton sales for Caton's a big surf brand that's out here, and the first one we talked about business, and the second one he talked about his sobriety and getting sober, and then what he's gone through and the difference of life without alcohol and whatnot. But to think that the younger generation, I love it, is not that engaged in alcohol and really has no, it's like take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Not interested in it. Unfortunately, I was the polar opposite when I was growing up. It was like, I think I started drinking with my friends when we were 14, which is horrifying.
I think I don't think that was abnormal at that time, right? We all snuck it. And this is, tying this into cannabis too. This is something that I quote and say a lot. One of my goals, and again, not that my business is specifically geared towards women, but I want to come back to how my cosmetic counter days influenced where we are today and why things pink. And one of the goals of Soberish is to elevate cannabis from our parents' basements to our dinner tables and our nightstands, because yes, it is there to help us sleep. It is there to be in our food, to help food taste a little better. It is there to create an experience, and it can be as mild or as elevated as you want it to be. And for a variety of health purposes, we also carry products that are great as body products. One of my good friends has been using it for some inflammation after a surgery and swears by one of the products to carry. I think there's a wide variety of use for it, but I think the opposite, I guess, I mean, the same could be said for alcohol, right? We did it in our parents' basement, but now it's not something that we want to pursue anymore. We're looking towards different things. So I think it's just an interesting shift in all of us. And I do think it's a healthier shift for us all.
Well, I think women, the fact that women are so keyed into it, especially with the health. I mean, just looking at people that do drink a lot, and that's like, I never really paid attention to it until just like as of late. And it's like what it does to just your skin, and, you touched on it, your sleep and whatnot. And to be able to take it away, it's like, God, it's like, I wish I did this a long time ago.
Yeah. And it's not easy. It's not, again, everyone is experimenting and choosing what level of sobriety is best for them, if any. And that's totally fine. But I do think when people are able to take a little break and make conscious decisions, and I hope that we can help them do that. If it means I'm going to not drink at this event and I'm going to take this really good non-alcoholic wine that I like, so that I'll feel like I'm having something, and tonight I'm just not going to drink, that is a really good conscious decision for your body, if nothing else. So I'm excited that these options exist. They did not exist, 5 years ago. I don't even, maybe even sooner. I don't know. It's very recent.
Last couple of years. I mean, truly the boom of, how much more we are tied into social media and Instagram and TikTok, and seeing some of, I think it's Ariella Lore, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name, but she's this beautiful, beautiful girl that like hit rock bottom, is sober. And she talks all about like her wellness routine. And it's like, there's no missing, I wish I was drinking. She's like, I just have no desire. And I have such, I think a lot of it, if you're young or you're even my age and you're looking at this beautiful lifestyle that doesn't include, we're going out, we're partying, we're having cocktails, like, and to still see it looks like you have this beautiful life. I feel like that is also kind of, circle people into it a little bit more, where it's a little bit more accepted. But I do want to ask you about the design scope, because your aesthetic for this business, it's like, it is so feminine, just like you said. It is so beautiful, but it is so, it takes a lot. I mean, I'm jaded because I've been in retail since I was 14, and I've had the luck of being part of the Fred Siegel group when Fred was still alive. He was my mentor. I was with Anthropology for 8 years. So my aesthetic and I don't know. I feel like I'm jaded. It's like very hard to see something be like completely just blown away with something that's fresh and new and fucking beautiful. And that's, I think, the reason why you're seeing this come across, and then digging more, why I was like so enamored by it, because it's true.
Well, let me tell you why you like it so much, because Elisa also comes from Anthropology. So there's an ode to that in there too. When I first came up with the concept and the design, I knew I wanted the arched shelving. I knew I had pulled some imagery from online initially. And I had an idea of where I wanted to go with it. And I had never used a designer before. And being in real estate, I've done many a flip. I've designed them myself. And I think I've done a good job with them. My prior business, the law firm, I designed it. It was very industrial. I built and designed concrete desks with plants growing out of them. Like, I really enjoyed that process a lot. And maybe that's my like future life. I don't know. But I didn't know what I needed until she and I started working together. And she, having a designer in your business is crucial, I think. And I think the collaboration that she and I had was incredible. She's become a good friend now. But I was like, the things I would have done standing back now and seeing the finished product, I would have not made it look as good. When you are the business owner, you do need to, you think about budget, you think about cutting corners, you think about how can I make this work? And although she cared and was concerned about my budget, whenever I wanted to cut a corner that wasn't going to work, she said no. and respecting each other enough to listen to that.
Oh,
She's like, no,
I have no idea.
Here's what you have to do. You know, the pops of red on the leg. So those tables, if you kind of recall them from imagery, they're one of the main center table is 10 feet by 4 feet, I believe, and it's solid concrete. And that was my conference room table. And it had a trough in the middle where I had succulents planted. And that was a whole great idea, bad idea. Imagine planting and replanting over 7 years of the dying plants. But, you know, I was like, we could just use this. And she was like, no, we have to tile it. And I was like, no, I don't want to tile it. It's fine. Let's paint it. And so then it was, no, we need to paint the legs this pop of red color. And all these things I resisted a little bit, but in hindsight, every ounce of it was perfect. It was the right thing to do. It was so much better. So, you know, the way another one of her big, crafts is doing floor sets and all of that. Like I could have never done and visualized all the things. So having someone that I like to think of myself as creative, but I am not in the world that she is in. And so having a designer is instrumental when you're opening up a retail store to keep it new and fresh and different and interesting when you're creating something new. Behind the cash wrap as well. Obviously, I love her. Can you tell I'm raving?
I mean, I'm going to have you send me her information so we can link her.
Yes.
Because it's, you know, just what you just said right now is, even though you think you can design and you have a good eye, but to have a designer and I mean, that's my main hustles. I'm a merchandiser and designer, and I'm cognizant of budgets, but there's also a certain level that we want you to have for the store to succeed and to be the ultimate visual aesthetic that we see, as well as trying to keep some of the things you want. But, you know, by far and large, we are here to make you and your store look the best it can. And sometimes a lot of people, and I did a solo and I talked about, it's like, trust, if you're going to bring somebody in to do this, trust them enough to get out of their way.
Yeah.
And
yes.
to not try and micromanage it. And that's the biggest thing. People are like, money's a big thing. And what about this? And trying to interject, which, not saying you shouldn't interject, but there's a point where it's like, you have to step back and you have to let them do their magic of why they are who they are. And I loved hearing you say that.
Well, and it became, I mean, by the end of the project, she is so instrumental. So I told her that, you know, she won't get rid of me because every season we'll do floor set, you know, resets. And so we're still going to continue to work together. But she was so instrumental that even just placing the decals on the door for the signage, I was like, you have to be here. I don't know. She's like, you know what to do. I'm like, no, you have to come. So yeah, but again, I really did not understand the value initially. I was, you know, kind of like, okay, great, she'll help. And I absolutely see it now. And I recommend it to anyone.
Oh my God, you just made that. So you had some inspiration of things that you wanted, and then you handed it over to her. Then does she do like a big, when I do floor sets and renos, like there's like one of them, I just got off a job in Scottsdale and they were like, do you have any Pinterest pictures? Do you have any storyboards? I'm like, I don't. It's like, you're gonna have to trust me. And it was literally blind trust.
Yeah, it kind of was. You're right. I mean, I had some inspiration. So I will say where my inspiration started was I saw some imagery for, again, the arched bookshelves. And I was like, okay, that looks elevated. I personally did not want to do just basic like wooden wine store shelving or wire shelving or any of those kinds of things, or even glass shelving. I was like, I want this to be custom built in. I want it to, again, I go all in. I'm going to invest in this all the way and make it look as chic as possible. So that was really the basis of what I had. And then when I got the quote from my builder on what that was going to be, you know, I backpedaled. She and I talked about a couple of different options, but we ultimately came back to this decision. And so, yes, we color storied together a little bit, but then when I, you know, had certain ideas and she would say no. At some point I would say, can you give me an imagery of that? And she's like, no, I don't know. I can pull something online and send you a picture, but no. And the trust was good. Again, so many things in that store are things I didn't think were going to work. And now I look back and I can't imagine it any other way.
Like what other than the big...
I didn't want to do a rug. I didn't want to do 2 rugs because I was like, they're going to get dirty. I don't want to deal with that, right? They're concrete floors. Like, it's good enough. And she's like, a rug will really warm this up. And so there are two rugs, right? And she's right. They do bring in that sense of warmth. I'm a really big minimalist. So I viewed everything from a very minimal landscape. And she, coming from anthropology, understands merchandising in that way. And it's not minimalist, right? Yeah. Plants, I didn't want to do plants because I understand how much work that requires. And I'm relying on my team in the store every day to water them, to put lights on them, to take care of them. But she insisted. And I mean, I do think bringing in that natural element is the right thing to do. So all these kinds of things they weren't too much of sticking points, but they were conversations we had and things I didn't think I was ever going to do. But in hindsight, having that texture, having some warmth, bringing in some nature, bringing in different colors like the pop of red and orange that I didn't think was going to be there really helped the space be what it is.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I can't wait for everyone. I mean, I'm sure people are Googling it right now. I mean, it's funny to see when people, because we've done what I've called the retail road trips, where we've had two retailers that one was in Minnesota and her and her husband came out of Target and they built the store from the ground up. It's 3 levels. There's an elevator in it. I mean, it's unreal. And everyone was like, what does it look like? What does it look like? So I'm like, okay, we're flying there. We're going to film. And it was so much fun for people to see what the store was all about. Like, your store is one of those. I was like, God, I would love, because we go out to Atlanta every now and then.
Okay, come on down.
I'll
host you anytime.
So tell me a little bit about hiring when you start to hire people, because you are not in the store every day because you are still a working attorney.
Yes, not now. Who knows what life may bring? But I have a fabulous store manager, an assistant manager. They take care of things on a day-to-day basis. And then I have a team currently of 4 part-timers that kind of rotate for the evening shifts. One of the biggest parts of Soberish, and I've said this, but that I'll say again, is educating people. So many people, at least in the Atlanta markets, because cannabis isn't as readily available. I mean, there are tons of smoke shops, but again, it's tie-dye and hippie, or it's behind the counter. It's just not the same thing. And again, everyone I know in Atlanta will say that, especially for women, you're not getting the education you want. And so here's where I'll call back to my cosmetic counter days. What I learned from that experience was what led me here. I think what made selling a $20 lipstick easy is to let a woman come in and try it, let her feel it, let her touch it, let her understand it, talk about what's in it, why it's good for you, why it's healthy, what chemicals it might have if that's of concern for someone. So in our store, that is paramount to me, telling people here's what we have in it. This has an adaptogen. You are pregnant or nursing. You should probably steer clear of this product right now. When you are not doing that, we can talk about it again. Here's what we have that can replace that in the interim until you're not breastfeeding. These are just examples. Or you're on certain SSRIs. There are certain products in our store that you should not try if you are on an SSRI. Herbal remedies can conflict with SSRIs, and we do carry a lot of herbal products as well. So I think my ultimate goal, and I'm going to speak it into the universe and hope that it comes to fruition, is I have researched heavily on who I want to be, and I want this to be the Sephora of this world. That is my goal. So when I think about what Sephora has created, they've created an environment where people can go in, touch the product, feel it, try it before they're getting educated on how to use it. They're getting educated on what it is. And I think that creates all the difference than picking up, whether it's picking up a mocktail or a wine at the grocery store and you don't know what it's like, or being able to try a product in the store and knowing what it's like. It's the difference between buying, and no shade to CoverGirl, but CoverGirl at Target versus going into Sephora and trying a MAC product. That's why you're there. You want to try it on. You want to know how it feels. You want to know all about it.
Yep.
So my team has been really trained on providing knowledge to everyone that comes in. And I think that's been really, really important to us and for our success.
So I know every single retailer right now is asking this question, that is a shit ton of knowledge. Like, not only just the non-alcoholic wines and drink mocktails, but the side of it, of the THC CBD, and just let alone what you just said, what will mix, like that is a lot of education. How do you did the team that you hired in the beginning, did they already have some baseline of information that they're coming with? And then how at that point with each group, like vendor or whatever, do they come in and do classes? Do you get that's a lot of information. How do you get, I cut myself off really bad, so I apologize, but how do you get your team that up and running and that much knowledge in them? That's a lot.
So I won't pretend that I have tried every product in the store. It's been impossible to do that in the 7 weeks since we've been open. So to your point, my store manager, so both of them actually are friends, the store manager and the assistant. They came from a liquor store. They worked at a liquor store for 2 years. Our store director went on to work at the only other and first non-alcoholic bottle shop in Atlanta that opened about 6 months prior to Soberish opening. So she was there for a few months. So she had obviously extensive knowledge about cocktails, like cocktail industry, alcohol industry, and then had some information education from her own sobriety and also about sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Wait till you get older.
About the NA industry. Caitlin, when she left the liquor store, the package store, she went to a CBD Delta 8, Delta 9 cannabis store here in Georgia. So they both had some outside of experience prior to coming to Soberish. And I very randomly found the store manager. I had messaged someone who someone else had led me to, saying, "Hey, are you looking for a job right now?" And they said, "No, but I think I know someone who might be the right fit for you." And that led me to the store manager. And then she led me to the assistant manager. So it worked out really well that they each had this individual experience, but a combined experience from beverage and selling and running these. They were both manager and assistant manager at the package store. So I got really lucky in that regard that they knew how to process inventory, take inventory. And surprisingly, a lot of the distributors for the NA products, not all, but a lot of distributors also sell the alcoholic products. So they knew exactly who to go to and how to get set up with them and how to do all those things that I didn't know how to do. So I was very fortunate to have the two of them help with that. And then they've been in charge of a lot of the education, but we also, I'm also constantly researching, educating. We've created some templates, some forms, some education for our team. We try to do the tastings, not only for our team, but also for our customers to try these products. The vendors give us as much education as we request and require. I don't know if you've ever heard of the brand Apothecary.
I'm not sure.
It's a female-owned herbal supplement brand, but they do make some tinctures that are great for relaxation. And then the other things might be herbal. When I say herbal supplements, they come in like a jar, and they might be a powder formula that you're going to mix into a liquid to create a drink. One is called, they have very clever names. One is Stop Your Whining.
Of it.
I can't think of, sorry, there we go. I don't know how to, I'm old. I don't know how to work my phone. I had a call coming in.
Oh, you're old.
So we that brand in particular, because their products are extensive and do need some knowledge base, had a class for us. So I took a 1-hour seminar with them to kind of go through the products we had ordered, but every one of them will offer that to us. I think it's a little bit easier with the non-alcoholic products, because obviously if it's a non-alcoholic vodka, you understand that it's a vodka. What I did find interesting is of the 4 team members we have, the part-timers, one, if not more, I mean, they're younger, like I said, 30 and under, and they never really drank and still don't. And so they're exploring this world. But when I say, okay, let's talk about how do you build a Moscow Mule? They don't know the components. So we've learned that we have to teach even like these kinds of things, because we shouldn't assume that everyone does know that. So a lot of the training too is how to build a cocktail or mocktail, how to build that in our store. When someone comes in and says, I really enjoy X, what products and where do you find them and what do you get for them? So that has been a learning experience too.
That's amazing. And that is like, you just took the world of selling alcoholic and non-alcoholic to a whole nother level with just that kind of customer service. Like, there's no, I mean, even the best, I work for one of the best specialty grocers in the country. Like it is like so high end, and they don't offer that. They have a pretty extensive non-alcoholic, but if you said, hey, I love a Moscow Mule, build it. I don't think that they could, and they certainly don't ever have events in the store. I mean, even if it's sober October right now, they haven't done January. They did a little, but there is no tastings. There's no try this. We're going to show you how to make this, like that engagement. And I think literally you just seriously just took it to a whole nother level.
Well, again, when I think about building my brand from the stance of creating a Sephora, that is when you go for you're not just going to walk out with a foundation. You're going to walk out with a powder and a setting spray and maybe an eyeliner. And maybe when you get to checkout, you're going to find a cute little, mini set of something that you just have to have because it's so cute. And speaking in a retail perspective, when people are coming to us, they're coming they don't even know what they're coming for a lot of the time. Sometimes people are coming for like, I know I like that wine and I'm coming there, or I want to take a bottle of wine. But building that sale is important too. I'm trying to, obviously, as we all do in retail, make sure that every customer is not only educated in knowledge, but also increase our dollar sale per item so that we can make sure they come back. They might try something they never would have tried before and come back for that product, but that wine they picked up, they might come for once a month. So trying to get people trying new things is also important.
Because a lot of my education with retailers has been creating add-on sales, just what you said. So when you guys are merchandising, are you creating these add-on sales? Like, I'm guessing your tabletops change if you have Anthropologie behind you, someone from Anthropologie behind you, your focal tables change, whether it's monthly or quarterly, whatever, and they're all built on creating add-on sales. Are you also doing this with your merchandising?
Yes, I can say, I don't know that that's how we have the floor set now, but we have, for example, I don't know when this is going to air, so hopefully I'll have the table set before it does. I love and loved a good dirty martini. And so I wanted to create a martini section for our current table. So I also have some really cute oyster shaped dishes and platterware because there are a little bit of giftware within our stuff too, wine glasses and muddlers and different things like that. But as we pushed into the end of the year, oysters, they're still around for another while, but kind of seen as a summer thing. So I tried to figure out how I could marry the oysters and the martinis. And so I want to do a little floor set on one of the tables, a little design with that. And so I've been, as we do, purchasing things over the past few months to be able to get that going. This is actually one of them, which is really cute. I had to try it today. This just came in. It's an olive oil martini drink made with Graza olive oil. Oh. So I will be creating that atmosphere there where you can buy this, a cute little olive candle that I have found from this great vendor, some martini glasses, and then all of the NA components to make a good dirty martini. So like olive juice and olives. We have blue cheese olives and lemon olives in stock. So yes, absolutely. And again, I don't think that's necessarily what happens when you walk into a liquor store or package store. The tinctures are over here, the mixers are over here. Everything is in its own section, so you know how to find it. But if you want how do I make a dry martini? It's not in one section for you.
So touching on this, the Sephora last minute, they're famous for guiding you through that line with a million little things you have to have. Have you also incorporated something like that?
Not intentionally, but what I have found is that our fridge, we have a really great big fridge with single cans in the fridge, and that tends to happen. It's right at the cash wrap. It's the only place I had room for it. I did, though, just last week, I moved some of these really great mushroom mints. So we do have a lot of like functional mushrooms, for example, as well. So we have this great company called Super Mush, and they make these really cute just mints. And they just weren't moving. And I knew it was a good product, and I just didn't know how to get people to try it. So we moved them up to the cash wrap and put them in a cute little thing and put some information behind it. And immediately, of course, we sold like 3, I think, that day. So again, this is where using that, I've been out of retail for so long, but it doesn't leave you. I think the experiences you learn how to sell, you learn how to product place, you learn that when people feel good in an environment, they want to spend money there. And so how do you create that entire environment for them? Because it can be, your product can be amazing, but your display has to be amazing. The aesthetics have to be amazing. The team members have to be great. They have to feel good. The music has to be right. So many components go into a good shopping experience.
Oh my God.
It's not just about the product, you know.
You are preaching my fucking swear to God. This is like, I'm like, this is the best interview ever. I know everyone is going to ask this, is that, do you ship nationally? Can you ship THC and CBD and stuff like that nationally? I wasn't sure if that is allowed.
So again, with the products that we carry, they are nationally legal because again, we don't have legislation here that allows us to sell cannabis or marijuana products that you can sell in California. So in California, you could not ship to Georgia, but the products that we carry in Georgia could be shipped elsewhere. At this time, though, we're not doing any of that. I'd like to evolve to that place of being able to ship, but I think right now, first things first, just getting us off our feet 7 weeks in, getting that going. What I would like to offer next as the next step in that evolution, hopefully by early part of the year, is order online and pick up. Because we have a really great curbside situation where people don't really have to get out of their car. We can just take it right to them and they can go about their day. And then I do want it to evolve into potentially shipping, because although all of these products can be found online for the most part, I think the ability to buy all of these products from one place is what's rare. Right?
Well, I mean, I'm already like, okay, if I send you a wish list, can you just pack me up a box? But no, you just answered my question.
For you, I can do that.
Where in Atlanta are you?
So for those familiar with Atlanta, the little neighborhood is called Kirkwood, where I don't even know how many miles, just a few miles outside of the downtown. The in-town Atlanta area is comprised of a dozen little neighborhoods and specific pockets for what they're called. But again, for those that would know, we're between in-town and Decatur. I think I'm maybe 4 miles to downtown. So we're in a really great trend. Like, the area is fabulous. Kirkwood is great. Everything in town in general is great. Atlanta's growing a ton.
Oh my God. I was going there twice a year for probably 15 years because I do wholesale showrooms as well. So in America's Mark was one of my clients, and it's my favorite. I walked away from it because my travel has become so insane that on top of it with everything else was just too much. So now that I've stepped away, I'm like, I really miss that area and the energy, because we'd go over to that beautiful, amazing complex that's in an industrial. It's off of Ponce. It's
Ponce City Market.
Yeah, that's like hands down one of my favorite places. And then the big food hall situation that's in it was kind of a shady area. It's becoming better, but it's like, it's a giant.
Is it recent?
Yeah, it's another industrial building that has
Chattahoochee Works.
No, that's a new one.
That's a new one. Yeah.
It's like, there's a brewery. There's like a sushi place. It's literally like a giant food hall, and I can't remember the name of it. But
there are several of those in Atlanta, so it's actually hard to tell you where you went because I couldn't even test it.
But that's so. They don't have anything like that here in California. Like it's.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about
like having fun, but to go there, that is really truly what I miss, is that whole environment and the industrial feeling. And like, it is such a melting pot of people. And it's like, everybody's so incredibly polite to each other. Like you don't have the California, but you don't have isms. And I really, truly miss Atlanta.
Well, to put it in perspective then, from where you were coming, that's what I would consider downtown. And then when you say Ponce City Market, in town. And so Kirkwood is only about 4 miles from downtown from there. So it's very close. And the little pocket I'm in isn't quite like any of those areas you've described, but it's so close to everything that you've described. There's so many little pockets like that with great restaurants. What I love about being in Kirkwood especially is, again, it's a really great community. I've been there. My law firm was in the same space where Soberish is now. So I've been in that community for almost 10 years, and everybody knows everybody. Everybody sees everybody at the coffee shop in the morning. It feels so small town. I used to call it Mayberry. It's just so lovely in that way. And every small business that's in the downtown is obviously like, small business owned, but also majorly female owned, which is exciting for me. Yeah, there's so many restaurants, so many of the businesses are all female owned, which I think is great.
That's incredible. So I always ask people 2 questions at the very end.
Okay.
and because obviously you're very creative and you're creating amazing things both with your law office design and then this. So tell us a little bit about where you get your inspiration.
Oh, I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't know where I get my inspiration. I guess what I want to do in life and what I want to create always is something new and different. That is my goal. I want to change. I want to be a disruptor. I want to change things from how they've always been done. That is true to who I am. And I think I did that again with the law firm. And I think with Soberish, I'm kind of shaking things up and doing it a little bit differently. And hopefully, and actually, I know that leads to success. I know that risk leads to reward. And the reward financial is great, but the reward in Soberish right now is just creating something new and different. And I always say, like, I want to look back when I'm 90 and go, I did that. Doesn't matter what happened. I did that. It was fun. So those are my main goals in life. I don't know where I get inspiration. I'm really tired a lot of the time, to be honest.
Do you, have you ever thought about, like, if this blows up, franchising it?
Absolutely. I'm hoping Sephora hears this conversation, or someone at a larger scale hears this conversation. That is a goal and a thought for me. Yes. I had that goal and thought initially with my law firm. But with the type of law that it is, and law firms, I mean, doesn't quite work that way. But I do have a vision for myself that this potentially could be something that is, again, brought nationally on a larger scale. And I even have ideas already about how it can be done a little bit differently and improve the experience even more for people and how we can even do better. Every day, I want us to find ways to do better and make it different. So I have other ideas on how to change it if it did grow into a larger scale.
Now I realize I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay, great.
Give us a list of your top favorite alcohol-free mocktails.
Okay.
Red wine, white wine.
So red wine, I'll start there, is the Zero Sangiovese. That one's a great one. And I can send you information and links to all of those things too, so you can post them. On the white wine, I do like a sparkling. I think that I have a lot of favorites. Can I say a few?
Yeah.
I do
another one because I was really, I'm as a sideline, I was, when we had Dale on, he talked about sobriety. I haven't really dipped my toes into any of that. And it was really like, I had no idea it's something that's out there, mental health, all of it plays it. I had no idea. And the response was insane. Like, I'm still getting emails and DMs from people. So I know people are going to be like, what are your favorites?
Sure. Okay. So the red wine I named, on the whites, I really do love Prima Pave. They do rosés and white sparklings that I really enjoy. Oddbird is a great one. They do a very nice elevated wine. And I will say the whites are easier to love than the reds. Creating the tannins that the reds need are challenging, I think. Although I do think there's been a great evolution in that space. Even like every day, there's something new. From a mocktail, a ready-made mocktail, I would love to give Spiritless a shout out. That is another female-owned brand. When I opened and I needed some support and some help for the store opening and asked for vendor support and free product, she immediately came through, provided so much product to us. She'd been someone that I had met 6 months prior to through another mutual friend, and we had briefly talked about something in this industry, and that business and that venture didn't work out. And then here we are. But she jumped to it. And this is another thing that I love is women in business. Women support women. And it's always so beautiful when that happens. But on top of that, moreover, Spiritless is a great product. They have several great, easy, ready to drink drinks. I think the favorite right now is the margarita. I can't keep it on the shelves. It's amazing. But they also have an old fashioned and a whiskey sour that are also incredible. And what else did you ask me?
Are there any aperitifs? Because I had mentioned Gaia and I had mentioned.
That's a really good one. Yep. Kin is a great adaptogenic. I actually discovered Kin like 5 years ago or more, and I enjoyed it myself. It's going to have some. I do.
I was really surprised.
Well, I gotta be honest. I don't remember owning it then.
Really?
I don't think so. Not 5 years ago. That wasn't the marketing around it. Maybe she did. We're talking about is it Gigi or Bella Hadid? I can't remember.
I think it's Bella. And then Katy Perry is behind Del Soy.
Yeah.
I mean, Katie's in front of the camera talking about it, but Bella has not talked at all about her.
And again, with Katy Perry, I don't know because I don't know that brand as much, but I don't know that she was always. I don't know. I don't remember. Again, with Kin, 5 years ago or more when I was first drinking it, I didn't remember that part of their branding. But either way, it's really great to see these celebrities embrace this and make it part of their business plans and structures or bring it to the market, whatever their involvement is. It's really cool to see that. And I think it brings a lot of good notoriety to these brands and to this industry.
The Kin Sleep one is like my favorite.
The lightweight.
Oh my God. I love that one so much. Like that's what I mean, that is literally what I drink before I go to bed.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you enjoy it. That's a really good one. There is some great, I can't think of the brand right now. It'll come to me. I'll send you a photo so that you can put it in here. But I love an espresso martini also. And there's this great adaptogenic that is going to have a lot of vanilla notes and things like that. And then, of course, you're adding in your like espresso syrup to that and you're done. So we have a lot of that stuff. That's great. I'll send you a list of all my faves. Those are good ones off the top of my head.
I think that'll be great because I know people are going to hear this and be like the same like I am. Like you can't find jack shit in the grocery store. So it's like because
let me not negate Flora. Flora also is still a big fan of theirs. They've also been really supportive of our business and sending products so we can have our customers taste that. That is the THC infused, but the ready to drink cans that they have, there's a margarita, there's a blueberry mule, and I'm forgetting the last one, unfortunately. Okay. But they have 3 ready to drinks that are incredible. So, you come home from work and you just want a little something, pop that. You feel like you're having a cocktail, but you're also getting a little bit of THC. So you have some sensation of like calm and, chilling and
I love that.
Sleeping better.
Okay, my last question, and you've already given so many nuggets, so it's almost redundant asking this, but what is your best piece of advice for an entrepreneur?
Oh gosh, yeah. Just do it. It's going to sound so cheesy, right? Believe in yourself, but bank on yourself. If you believe in what you're doing, I always tell myself this, I think we are more afraid of success than we are of failure. And I think that holds us back more in the not trying things than actually the fear of failure. It's what if it blows up and what if it becomes big? And I think just taking a risk on yourself is the best thing you can ever do. But in turn, I also have learned through a series of different entrepreneurial adventures, hire the right people, hire people to help you. You cannot do it alone and you should not do it alone. Sometimes that's challenging from a financial perspective, but I also think that if you budget and plan right, you can remove other things that you thought you needed that you might not need in order to get the help that you need sooner, whether that's a merchandiser, whether that's a designer, whether that's hiring your store manager. I'm talking about me before you even have a physical location set up. I mean, we were still in design when I found my store manager and I was like, you're a good fit. I'm going to hire you and we're going to figure out what you're going to do in the interim. You're going to set up accounts and you're going to help with website. You're going to help with all these different things. So I found a way to get her on board earlier than I needed her, but because I knew it was the right person and the right fit. And that I knew I needed help because again, you cannot do it alone. We all need support and help. There are certain businesses that can be done with less staff or less support, but overall you need support.
Okay, I can't even believe how much I love this conversation with you. Like, honestly, like you just kind of put it over the top for my girl fan of you already with your story. Now it's like, honestly, this was like one of the best conversations to have, like your knowledge of retail, your knowledge of understanding and this vision that you have for your brand. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much for doing this because I mean, this was like, I'm so glad I'm
going to listen to the end of all your podcasts and see if you say that to everyone.
I don't. I don't. I mean, I love every conversation, but I have geeked out on a couple and one of them is an older lady. Her name is Iris Fuller, and she had a very, very famous store in San Francisco for years. Like everyone in the industry knew who she was. And she closed her store right before 9/11. So she never had a chance to mourn closing her store because the world was mourning that. And then she just kind of disappeared. And I put it out to everybody, like, who do you want us to interview? And somebody said, Iris Fuller. I'm like, great. Do you know her? And they're like, no, I'll find her. And I swear to God, it's Nathan from Nathan & Co. Nathan finds her. She's living in Mexico. She's like, I think she's like 80, but she exudes everything that we as retailers love. And to listen to her talk about it, like you couldn't wipe the smile off my face. And I even said that.
Great.
It was like, for somebody who this is new to me doing these interviews, it literally, like, I literally was so full and so just, I could not wipe the smile off my face. And very much, I have that same stupid look on my face right now. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and energy. And that was super fun.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.